Welcome to this course where you will be using LlamaIndex for RAG in Python. There is a lot of content in this course, and I would argue there are at least two reasons for you to join me. Now, firstly, as you will find out, RAG is quite a crucial component of AI modeling, and it's just one of those techniques that you really should have in your AI toolkit. What RAG is exactly, you will cover later in the course, but just to temporarily satisfy your curiosity, RAG stands for retrieval-augmented generation. And what it does, it allows LLMs to consult information they were not trained on. But secondly, you'll be getting your hands dirty with a real-life example of RAG. And I am very excited about this course. And if you allow me a minute or two, I will share with you the real-life example that got me excited about RAG. So my lovely wife, Louise, wanted some help coming up with a shopping list based on the recipes of what we were planning on cooking for the coming week. And my first attempt was shot down in flames, I must admit, because I was using online recipes, not my wife's recipes. My wife is very protective of these recipes, and they are not in the public domain, therefore. And this is exactly where RAG comes in. So a bit later, you'll find out more about what RAG is exactly. But for now, just know that it allows you to feed secret documents, that being documents that are not in the public domain, into your AI model. Of course, the documents don't have to be secret. The point is that your LLM can consult any external document, secret or otherwise, that it wasn't trained on. Anyway, with RAG, this app now works beautifully, and my wife's recipes are still secret. And because they are secret, obviously, I will not be sharing those with you in this course, but you will be creating a real-life kind of company policy app with a secret company policy. And then you will use AI to analyze and interpret that company policy. You will also learn something about hats and baseball caps. Right, so in this course, you will learn how to connect your data to LLMs and how to perform retrieval-augmented generation, because that is what RAG stands for. Is there any useful knowledge you should have before starting this course? Well, you need an OpenAI API key if you want to code along. Now, those at the time of recording were not free. At the end of the course, I will show you a way of getting a free API key. It's just not OpenAI, it's Google, and you can use those, but that will be explained at the end of the course. But if you want to code along with me, you will need an OpenAI API key. You will also need to know about virtual environments and about persistent environment variables and about the pathlib standard library. Well, pathlib is actually a module that is part of the standard library. If these things are new to you, don't worry. I will provide links to courses where you can catch up, and you can then therefore get going with this course. And that's it for this intro. My name is Stephen Loyens. I will be your instructor, and I hope you will join me in the next lesson. See you there. I know you are quite eager to get coding, but there are two things to get through before you can start coding. So in this lesson, you'll discover what RAG is, how you can use it, and then in the next lesson, you'll need to set up your environment. RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation, and it is a technique where the system, at query time, first retrieves relevant external documents or data, and then passes them to the LLM as additional context. So firstly, external data, what does that mean? Well, it's data that is otherwise unavailable to the LLM. So during the intro, I was talking about secret documents that are not in the public domain, for example. And then context, well, the context is considered a source of truth by the model. So that means that the response is on topic because it considers what the documents that you have provided as truth. There are 5 stages to RAG. Firstly, it's loading. So that is retrieving data from its source, such as my wife's recipes or the secret company policy that you'll be working with. Secondly, there's indexing. So that means creating a data structure for querying the data. the AI model can actually interpret the data. And so there are things called nodes and embeddings that you will come back to later in the course. Then there's persisting. That means storing an index and its metadata to avoid re-indexing. You will cover that as well later in the course. And then there's querying, of course. That's the fun bit. That is using the indexed data as context and asking all sorts of interesting questions of your AI bots. Finally, there's evaluation, which is checking the model output. We won't be doing stage 5 in this course, but it is something, of course, that in real life you should do. What's the LlamaIndex then? What's that got to do with anything? Well, that is a Python framework, and that enables you to build AI-powered apps capable of performing RAG, okay? And it feeds LLMs with your own data, such as secret documents, and then through indexing and retrieval tools. So it has all the tools built in to do RAG. It uses OpenAI's LLM by default, so this is important. This is why you need the OpenAI API key to code along, but you can change the LLM it uses. As I said before, you could change it to the Google LLM, which at the time of recording was free to use. Next step then for you is to set up your environment in the next lesson. In this lesson, you'll be setting up your environment, and that will involve 4 steps. So firstly, obtaining your API key if you don't already have one. Securely storing your API key, very important. Setting up your virtual environment, and then installing LlamaIndex. Now, steps 1 and 2 have been explained in quite a bit of detail in another video course called Leverage OpenAI's API in your Python projects. So that is not new content. So in order to maximize the new content in this course, I hope you don't mind me referring you to this other course in case you haven't obtained your API key yet, and in case you haven't stored it securely yet. Steps 3 and 4 then, well, if you download the code that comes with this video course, then there is a README file. And if you follow those instructions, then steps 3 and 4 will be done automatically for you. That will take us to building a RAG query engine in the next lesson. In this lesson, you'll start building a RAG query engine, or rather you will be preparing for it, I should say, because we have to talk about the project first before you can dive in. So this project means that you work for Stevens Pythonistas Limited, which is a fictional company for the avoidance of doubt, and you are to build an interactive chatbot that analyzes Stevens Pythonistas Limited's secret code of conduct policy, and then allows staff to ask questions about this code of conduct. And again, just to reinforce that RAG isn't just about secret documents, of course. RAG allows the LLM to consult information that it wasn't trained on. And that information could be secret, but it doesn't have to be. It could be any kind of information. So when you download the code, you will find the following structure. There is the company_policy.txt file. That's our secret document. And that sits in a data subfolder in case you're looking for it. And then there are a number of versions of the policybots.py file. Those are just the examples you will be going through step by step throughout the course. And at the bottom, there is policy_bots.py without a version number. And that is your working file. So that is a file in which you can code along. And at the very bottom, there is a README file that you can use to set up your environment. Now, this is the secret company policy. So it's a code of conduct for Stevens Pythonistas Limited. And there are 3 rules. First one is that staff are not allowed to wear a hat in the office. Secondly, swearing is not allowed, and it will result in a fine, which is a $1 contribution to the swear box. And thirdly, staff are not allowed to work weekends. The idea, therefore, is that this code of conduct is fed into the LLM as a secret document, in which case it becomes the context of this LLM. And then we can use the LLM to query this document and ask questions about the company policy. In the next lesson, you will build a basic example, and then later on, you will refactor that example and add persisting to the example. In this lesson, you'll start coding. And it's going to be a basic but fully functioning example of a query engine. And that query engine is going to be using my company policy as context, even though that is a secret document and it is not publicly available. Now, although this is a basic example, there are some key concepts to get your head around. So I suggest splitting up the coding into 2 lessons. And just so that you can get your bearings, I've taken the liberty of writing down the steps you'll be taking. So this lesson, you'll start with loading, and then you take a breather, and then come back refreshed for the next steps in the next lesson. Okay, so the first step in the process is to load the policy document. And LlamaIndex uses data connectors, also called readers, also called loaders. So loaders, readers, and data connectors are used interchangeably. And the data connector you'll be using is the simple directory reader class, or rather an instance of that class. So first, you need to import that class from llama_index.core. So all the way at the top, line 1, import simple directory reader. Okay, that's a good start. So now you want to create your reader or your data connector object. And that is part of loading. And so on line 4, type reader. And that's going to be an instance of the simple directory reader class. And that takes an input parameter. It's called input_files. And it needs to be a list of the documents that you want to feed into the process. So in your case, it's going to be the company policy. Now, when I say it's a list of documents, what I should say is a list of string representations of the path of the document, so the file path of that document. So it needs to be a string. Our company policy sits in the data subdirectory of the current directory. So I'm going to use /data and then the name of the file, which is company_policy.txt. Now, I'm on Linux, so here I am using /. The same goes for Mac, but if you are on Windows, you're going to need to use \. Later in the course, you will fix this and you will make the code platform independent. But that is a later step. For now, please just use whatever is appropriate for your operating system. So that is your reader. Now, well, you need to make that reader read or load the data. So create a variable called documents, then call the load data method on the reader object. I want to capture the data, so I'm going to use the reader object and then .load_data and spell it correctly, preferably. So I want to call the method and therefore use parentheses. Now, this documents, this variable or this object, this is actually a list because the load data method returns a list. And it returns a list of document objects. Now, when I say document object, I don't mean a text file. The document objects here are part of the LlamaIndex framework. So they are LlamaIndex specific objects, if you like. So that document object, it has data, of course, but also has some metadata about data sources and, I don't know, like such a file name, a path, and the date created, etc. So now you have your list of document objects ready to go. The next step is to index those documents so that the AI model can interpret them. And that you will cover in the next lesson. So in the previous lesson, you created a reader object and you called the load data method on that reader object to load the company policy into a list called documents, a list that holds a document objects. Now, the next step is to index that list of document objects. Now, what is an index? Well, an index is actually what provides the extra context or content to the AI model. So it's going to have to somehow link to that list of document objects from line 5. So keep that in mind. Now, the index you will be using is the vector store index class. And just as a little bit of background information, so a vector store index splits your document objects into nodes and generates vector embeddings for those nodes. Now, what are embeddings? Well, embeddings are numerical representations of your text. So they are numbers that represent text. And the key here is that these numbers capture semantic meaning. In other words, they represent what words mean. That's interesting, but it's also very much beyond the scope of this course into the realms of how LLMs work, etc. So I'll leave this with you, this little bit of extra background information. But at the end of the course, I'll show you how you can investigate nodes and embeddings. With all that said, please go to line 1 and import the vector store index class from LlamaIndex.core. So line 1, comma, and then vector store index. Then go to line 8 and type index equals and then vector store index dot from underscore documents. So call the method on the vector store index. And then this is where you feed in the documents list from line 5. So just type documents. So that's it. That's all it takes to create an index. The next step would be to persist this index. Now, for this basic example, you're not going to do that. You can skip that for now, but later in the course, you'll cover persisting. For now, let's move on to querying in the next lesson.